Do not be anxious. Do not worry about tomorrow. A wise teacher once said in confidence. He clearly knew something we didn't. I mean, out of all the 7 billion plus people in this world, surely we each have a nugget of wisdom to share. If only we could take the time to stop, ask and listen to the answers, or even give an answer ourselves, because we've gone through it before. You want wisdom? Just ask for it. Welcome to Living Brave Podcast. I'm Gugulethu Nkutha. So I look at push culture, which is our day for Fridays, is actually a concept or an idea that I had about 2-3 years ago, simply in looking at young people who have the desire, who have the aspiration to do new things, to rewrite history, to use their talents and gifts in unleashing what God has given them. So Push Culture, actually, as a podcast, we are not looking only at young people or young adults who are Christ believers, but we are also looking at young people from all different cultures background as well, even into Africa. We know that because of technology, that has allowed young people to use their talents, which are sometimes even they're born with. Some of them they've gone to school to study with, but we've seen even careers such as photography, we've seen careers such as content creation, coming to the power. And obviously we know the power of marketing using technology. So today with us, we've got a very young, dynamic young man. For me, I've seen him grow in the last, I would say, how many years?
About 5-6 years.
Ebenezer, which means
God has been with us up to this far.
Jeepers. God has been with us up until this far. So how I've gotten to know Ebenezer, Mr. Mokwena. Yes. He actually went to school with my brother. So I've got a brother of mine. I won't say how old I am, but just know that I'm older than him. Let's just keep it right there. So they went to school together, and all our parents, or both sides of the parents, they knew each other. He grew up from a Christian home. He's God-fearing, he's God-loving, he's super talented, and some of the commonalities that we had in talking was around marketing. I mean, I studied marketing. Ebenezer also studied marketing. We call him AB. For those of you who don't know, he'll come. Yeah, so we call him AB. And he studied marketing, and that's where we started having similarities in the things that we wanted to talk about. But fine, beyond that, he became my mentee by, I wouldn't say by intention, but even by default. Because you can imagine if you've got young people hanging out around your house with your siblings, eventually you incubate them or you adopt them. But also his parents were, especially his mother, was very intentional and forward in asking me to literally take her son under my wing and literally walk with him. So he's someone that I've seen grow. We've had very difficult changes and conversations. I mean, I look at him when I met him, he was young, he was not into girls. And then eventually he started dating, then he would graduate, then he would start working. And then something which we are going to focus on is his latest baby, which I will give him a chance to talk about later. This is a young man who has started his own business of perfumes and cologne. And I think that's something that he will teach us today. Smelling good is I've learned that as a person, you have to have your own smelling signature.
Your personal scent.
Right?
Your personal scent.
Your personal scent, is that right?
Yeah.
So where even when you walk out of a room, people can say, was Ebenezer here?
Basically, your signature scent.
What does that mean?
Basically, it's how can I put it? It's a way that people can more or less tell that, that's how you smell.
Okay.
It's an idea.
Okay.
So even if you were to change perfumes, but because of maybe your style of, not even your style, but your taste in fragrances. Maybe you love fragrances that perform very well, that have good projection by the fact that you could be standing at a certain distance and someone can even smell your perfume. So
So maybe let's just start. I mean, I look at you. Obviously, the podcast is not focused. And maybe tell us a little bit about you. So, where were you born? Maybe how old are you? I'm sure you're still proud to say how old you are. Until you get probably to my age, you'll stop mentioning the number, the numbers. So let's just give us a background. Who are you? What did you study? Where did you go to school? So that anyone who doesn't know you out there, they can get to know who we're talking about.
So my name is Ebenezer Mokwena. I'm currently from the East Rand in Springs. Born in Pretoria in a hospital in Lodium. So my mother's from Pretoria and my dad is from Springs.
Okay. That's new for me. Okay, all right.
But anyway, I'm 29 years of age. I obviously went, not obviously, but I went to high school primary school in Pine Grove Primary, and then a high school, Springs Boys High, and then I went to varsity in Tshwane University of Technology, known as TUT, and I studied marketing, and then I started my career.
So you did your full
diploma, and I've got an advanced diploma pending.
What do you mean pending?
Pending. I've got one module to complete before I graduate, actually.
All right.
So obviously, this was before I started the business, and obviously started.
Would you say marketing was your personal choice, or it found you, or circumstances forced you there?
So basically, I look at in my matric year, I actually realized that I actually like talking to people, and I'm very good at that. I get along with people, and I obviously had to find a career that was in line with that. At some point, I wanted to be a lawyer. Best believe it or not. But I
Actually,
remember
when you're saying you wanted to be a lawyer, it fits because you like debating. I wouldn't say you argumentative, but you put your points across. Ebenezer, for guys, if you don't know, or for those of you who know him, he loves elaborating. He'll go into detail, give you different scenarios. So the lawyer, I think if it was a second choice, it would have fit you.
And then what happened is that in matric, I was in grade 11 in matric, but I actually started selling stuff illegally at school. When I say illegally, so the high school that I went to, we weren't allowed to sell. So I actually was good at selling. And I remember one of my friends was like, "Hey, my man, it seems as if you're hungry for business." But I realized that I can actually convince people to buy stuff, and I can relate with a lot of people, which I feel like is something that you actually need to have, in marketing or sales. Actually, in sales and marketing, I realized that being able to relate with different kinds of people goes a very long way, because it contributes to your success. Actually, from coming up with marketing strategies, you have to understand how people think, their lifestyle they live, what do they like, and so on and so on. So it makes things a bit easier, And obviously, if people like you, the chances are they are going to want to work with you.
I look at marketing. I'm not sure if about you, what you think, but it's like preaching. Because if you don't have the love for people in marketing, if you're not going to understand the psyche, and I always say where the departure point of people. Marketing, you look at understanding even people's disposable income, which is what actually we are all fighting for. The good brands out there, they are fighting for one wallet. So telecommunication is fighting with Coca-Cola, because you have to decide between quenching my thirst with a can of Coke, do I buy airtime or bread? So I think marketing, as you are saying, that it all has to do with people, which is why the first P is, besides the product, one of the P's is the people that is in there. So I hear what you're saying. So you say you studied it because of what? Of the people and the psyche?
Yeah, so basically, like I said, it all went back to realizing that actually, I relate with a lot of people, and I'm able to, to convince, people. And for me, it was like, I mean, why don't you just go in a career that, that is in line with that? And I also enjoyed selling, that whole process of selling something, making money, and saying, hey, promoting. It's basically like promoting, saying, guys, I'm selling this product, so on and so on. This is my price. And then you become the guy who's known for that. So I actually enjoyed that. So when I checked at obviously the different career options, I was like, no, this is the best one.
Do you think you need a certain personality to be in marketing, or if you're an introvert versus an extrovert, does that play a role? If you're a marketer or a marketing
it depends on in which sort of like field of marketing you're gonna go into. If you're gonna go into like research and insights, then I think it wouldn't really matter in terms of personality. If you're gonna analyze data and generate all sorts of reports, then it doesn't. But if you're gonna be a person who's gonna be out there with people,
in front of customers,
communicate with people, understand how they think, present, obviously it needs to, your personality needs to be that type of personality that is out there,
And then you spoke about that you still got one module, right, to finish. In the times that we live in, where, for example, young people are always faced with a thin line between having a professional work career versus school. So would you say, for you, anyone who, let's say, has not completed their degree or their diploma, or someone who wishes to complete but they can't because of any circumstances, do you see that as a barrier? Do you think having a degree or diploma finished complete as a graduate, it's a must for young people today? Is there advantage to it, or does it really not matter?
So I'll say it all depends on the career that you're taking, and it also depends on where you see yourself, or what type of line of work you see yourself doing, So I'll be honest, for marketing, honestly speaking, sales and marketing, I actually, to a certain degree, I feel like you don't need it. I feel like a lot of things, if you are able to get the right content, whether it's on YouTube or reading, stuff online, you can get a good idea, and you can actually, I think we've also seen from, who's this guy? I think his name is Kaya Dlanga, who obviously is one of, well-known marketers, here in South Africa. And I think when he started his career, or when he started attempting, he hadn't finished a degree or a diploma as yet, So, for me personally, I feel like in my sort of like line of choice of career, it's not. But in other careers, it is. Unfortunately, in order for you to get a job, you need to qualify, have this type of qualification. If it's, for example, I know with these technical careers, technical, whether you're engineering, if you do it at a in a technicon, for example, a university of technology, they've got certain type of requirements, practical and theoretical, and in order for you to get a job in that industry, that's, versus sales and marketing. For example, if you're to work in a dealership, they don't need you to have a qualification. You're able to, in my current industry, which is material handling, a lot of the guys that I work with, they don't have qualifications, and in sales and marketing.
But don't you think also, does that set them apart for failure? Because let's say, for example, if you are saying, I hear what you're saying in terms of, you don't need to, like a doctor. I mean, you can't just walk into a room and start operating on people. Someone will die on that table. But I think what we see as well, because of the internet and technology, people sort of think that they can just go out and do and sell anything, however, without following, I look at the guy you're talking about, Kaya Dlanga. I think he worked for Coke at some point, Coca-Cola and some of the big brands. There is certain marketing guidelines that a brand like Coca-Cola would need to follow. For example, if you're talking about a corporate identity, you don't just cut and paste the Coca-Cola brand or use your own type of red which is not in the guideline. So do you think, if, for example, for someone who has never ever gone to school, but they've got the knack for selling, they've got the natural gift, doesn't that set them back if they don't go to school?
Yeah.
To learn in terms of the technicalities and, product, price, promotion, place, all the 4 P's, how will they know?
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
So basically what I'm trying to get you to is,
Yeah.
would you advise any young person
Yeah.
who aspires to go and study marketing
Yes.
to say go to school and study this?
I would definitely advise them,
Yes.
because a
What's
lot of the information, personally for me, a lot of the information that I know and how I do stuff actually came from there, like you said, the 4 P's, understanding that basic sort of like concept, it goes a long way. I think sometimes you can see in marketers, in terms of when they produce products themselves, someone who's from a marketing background, how they market their products, their CI, the brand that they try and create. You can see that here there's some sort of like element of marketing. They might not be the best at what they do, but you can see that this is well thought out.
Yes.
There's some research that had been done. This person understands the whole concept of marketing, how to sort of like target, how can I put it, create a message that is very specific to your target market. Going back to what we were talking about, understanding people, how they think, understanding different different LSMs, and stuff. So that obviously is something that you actually learn from school. So yeah.
So, and then in terms of in your line of work and your career,
yes.
How important do you think mentoring and coaching at the times, you as a young person? I mean, I look at myself and you, we've got a relationship of a mentor-mentee.
Yes.
But for any young person out there who is still trying to find their way through this career thing, do you think mentoring, coaching plays a big role? And how would you advise a young person to go about choosing their mentor or coaching? Is it, did you find yourself choosing, because I believe I'm not your only mentor. There's lots of people that you look up to. Do you choose based on what they've achieved, what you see, what you crave, or what you do you want? How do you go about, and do you think it's important?
Okay, yeah. So number one, it's very important, because I feel like as a person, you don't know everything. You don't have it all figured out, and sometimes the gap between where we are and where we want to be, can be bridged through getting the right type of information. You understand what I'm saying? So chances are the people that we look up to, or the the mentors we choose, have some information that can help us bridge that gap. So for me personally, in terms of choosing a mentor, I look at someone who's basically it would have to be someone who's in line with what, or who's in a sort of like a space that you wanna go into. So let's say, for example, entrepreneurship. Your mentor has to be an entrepreneur. Period. Someone who's in entrepreneurship, and then
because they know the struggles.
They know the struggles. They know when to tell. They wanna tell you. When tough times get there, to say, hey, my man, just keep going. Don't give up. I know you're gonna go through stuff like this. And obviously that also brings an element of sort of like comfort, to you, and motivation for you to keep going, the fuel that you need to keep going. So yeah, I look at that. But I think most importantly, you have to make sure that your values and your beliefs are also aligned,
That's true.
Because I mean, people are successful out there, but they don't get money in all the right ways. They may be driving a Porsche, staying in Sandhurst, but their ethics are just not, they're not aligned with yours. Your values are just not aligned. Your beliefs are just not aligned. Some people are, they, in terms of getting money, they'll do whatever it takes, even if it's wrong. They know that it's wrong. They'll do it. versus you who's got a conscience, who thinks twice or three times, who's like, you know what, I want to build a long-lasting, sustainable career. I don't have bad things that are going to catch up with me 10 years from now. I don't want to be that person who's always looking behind their shoulder every time I'm walking in public, because I'm thinking that I screwed someone, because your mentor showed you that, my man, in order for you to get ahead in life, you need to be able to screw some people, burn some bridges.
When you look at, that's one thing a lot of our young people don't look into, because a person assumes that just because a certain person is living a certain lifestyle, and that's what I want to become one day. Therefore, to choose them as my mentor or as my coach to achieve what they have, without realizing that actually you are taking on that person's everything, their personality, their values, their beliefs, because whatever that they've been taught, whatever that they've learned to do along the way, chances are they will want to filter it and pass it on to you. Yes.
100%. So, and the reputation as well.
And the reputation, because also, something that we were talking about, right now, as we were all sitting as young people, is having to say, you don't look at what a person shows, but you need to look at even their background, their family. Someone, if you know that you are in marketing, that's one part of the career. But someone who doesn't have, for example, the God-fearing, myself and you, another thing is a person can ask themselves, listening, to say, can a woman mentor a man, a young man? For us, it has worked very dynamically. 100%. Why? Because our values, even in God-fearing and God's values, they align. 100%. In family values, they align. So you can learn. And for those of you actually who are thinking, can you be mentored by the opposite sex? The answer is yes. There are so many mentorships and coachings that are so successful. Why? Because over and above the money, the grinding, the success, the getting ahead, you are also learning the opposite sex. 100%. I get to see what is it that you think. You get to see, if she's a boss woman and she's a senior person, an executive, imagine one day you are reporting under such. Or myself, I've always looked at it to say, if I had younger staff under me or people that I'm working with, then it's easier to relate. So in that way, I found that our coaching and our relationship was like an exchange. It was like a fluid. So I think for young people out there, it's very important to what Ebenezer is saying, that in choosing your coaching and your mentors, also look at the values.
100%.
Always look at the values, because today's ways of coaching, people just want to do it as a form of entitlement. I'm coaching, I've got so many people I'm coaching. But what is it that you are passing on? 100%. Because I believe that you want to see, I've always you've always heard me say that we measure our lives in periods of 5 years. 5 years, like governments, they change every 5 years. 5 years is the number of grace, even in the Bible. So after 5 years, you should be able to see what you have imparted to someone you are mentoring. Is it really taking place? So another, thing that we were talking about, it's around, I look at now, Ebenezer is working on a full-time basis, right? But you've also started your own business, which in our days and the times that we live in, especially after COVID, streams of income. We always talk about passive income, 100%. Income that works for you when you're sleeping. But not all of us can be in technology. Not all of us can be the Mark Zuckerbergs and the Bill Gates and the Buffetts of this world and have stocks running overnight. In your case, what made you to decide to get to a point to say, look, while I'm working, this is not actually enough for me. I need to have another extra. Why did you start a business? Was it because of extra income? Was it like everyone says, I want to build a legacy? Or what made you to get to that point to say, at your age, especially at 29, a lot of young people are probably thinking right now, I must get a job, I must have a car, I must have a house, climb up the corporate ladder. For you, what made you to decide over and above your job, there's more that you wanted to do? And we'll get to your baby. We'll get to something that I know you are very passionate about and which you will tell us more. But what made you to get to that point? Because I remember, and that's something that we need to talk about, because I want to know, when did you also decide to overcome the stage and the depression time that you had? Because if you remember, there was a time where you were so frustrated in your career. You were not happy with what you were doing. You thought, things will not work out. You wanted to get ahead. There's something that you spoke about earlier on this morning when we were talking before the podcast, to say you are happy that you actually stuck through to something and then it finished. So what made you actually to say, I'm going to start something extra over and above the job?
I'm going to be quite honest and very honest. For me, I think it was just making extra money. So what happened is that we went, I think you remember 2020, we went through a lockdown, right? So obviously I'm in sales, and then I'm in material handling sales. So I sell like forklifts.
So you work on a commission base, salary
and
commission. Okay.
So now, so before even lockdown, because I was making sales, life was good. I bought myself my first car. I said, I know things are going well. I did this, and I realized that I need my extra income, and I think that's where I realized the fact that I can't actually rely on one revenue stream of income. So basically it means that if I was to lose my job today, then I'm screwed altogether. It's understandable if the way to say, I lose my job, and I'm screwed, but at least there's that element of hope to say, but you know what, I've got a business that I'm working on. It's either I put in more effort and time because I've got the time now in my hands, So for me, it was mostly about that, And number two, I look at the fact that I don't see myself as working a 9 to 5 my whole life. So I had to start somewhere.
And you discovered this at a very young age, because a lot of people discover very late. Okay.
Yes. So for me, I look at the fact that I don't want to see myself working a 9 to 5 job my whole life. So I had to start somewhere with what I have and with what I thought I knew at that time. So that's yeah.
So then I look at the frustrations and which a lot of young people go through. I mean, working a 9 to 5, like you say, it's good and well to gain the experience, to learn how to manage, a company, learning how to be trusted with another man's property, right? But there's not so much freedom in working a 9 to 5.
Because
and you are not on your own time. You are not on your own rules. And this frustrates a lot of young people who have the burning to do their own things. And it causes even major depression, because guess what? You don't have control, so you stay over in your mind. In your case, what would you say was the one thing that helped you through those difficult times, when you knew that you were at cross points? It's either you continue working this 9 to 5 until you figured it all out. What was the big jump?
In terms of making me realize that
So what made you to overcome the depression stage of frustration, in terms of there was a point you were not happy?
So I think the one thing that I realized is taking action. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
Stop talking and start taking action. That was the conversation I had with myself. Obviously, with the frustration I realized that this above and I think for me that was one of the biggest things. But the other biggest thing is obviously the fact that my faith, the fact that I'm a Christian as well, so that goes a long way. It actually contributes very much in helping me deal with all my challenges. The fact that I know that there's a God out there, who's got good plans for my life, and man, if I'm going through a challenging time where I'm frustrated, chances are it's actually part of the process. It's there to shape my character, and it's there to help me discover, parts of myself that I wouldn't have discovered had I not gone through those, those challenging times.
Okay. So in your case, I mean, you're a single men, you know, you don't battle with some of the issues that many young people battle with.
Because I know my worth.
You know, tell someone out there, what does that mean? You know, that's a word that gets thrown around.
Yeah.
And for women and girls, they always get told, know your worth, what does that mean as a young man?
Yeah.
As you, as a man, as mujita.
Yeah.
Dude, you know your worth. Know what do you mean?
So basically,
and how's that worked for you?
So when we say know your worth from a guy's perspective, this is from my perspective. Yeah, the disclaimer, guys. My perspective. This is how I think, or how I interpret this, or I can explain this. So I think for me, it's not settling for less than what you want.
Okay.
You know.
I like that.
No, yeah. Be straightforward. You know, if you know that you can give people respect and love, attention, time, you know, and you know you're not getting it back, and then you just settle and say, you know, that's just how women are. You know, we guys are supposed to give. You know. So for me, I look at that to say that if this is what I'm expecting and I'm not getting it, I'm settling for less than what I want.
Okay.
So for me, that's what I'm saying when I say I'm at know your worth. Because currently I'm not getting that. So I won't settle for less than that, you know. Okay. So I move myself away from anything that, you know, I actually, I know deep down in my heart that I don't want, and I won't be happy, you know. Okay.
So for you, if it sounds like even as a guy, planning your life, even family planning, even relationships, it's very important.
Yes.
So for the guys out there, they have to even plan their relationships, because a relationship can be a downfall.
100%.
Either it can build you or it can break you apart.
100%.
And you know, today we see so many, you know, toxicity. We see people having, you know, children before time. You know, ending up in relationships and marriages that they don't even aspire to.
Yes.
So I like what you're saying when you're saying you have to know your worth.
Yes.
But you can't know your worth until you've done the inner work.
100%. 100%.
Is this something you learned from home, or you just discovered it as you know, grew in your career? Is this something you were taught at home, or you know, self-taught by yourself?
So for me personally, I feel like it was self-taught.
Okay.
It was.
And what triggered it?
The fact that for me, you know, when I understood this word reciprocity, you know.
You like that word?
Yeah, I like that word. So I listened to someone by T.D. Jakes.
I can't even pronounce it. What's it?
Reciprocity.
I know it, but it's like it gets stuck in my tongue.
Yes. So I was listening to, you know, T.D. Jakes, and he was preaching about it, to say that if there's no reciprocity, like there's no give and take. So basically reciprocity, exchange.
No,
I give and I take. I give and I take.
There's no
100%. Yes. And in order for there like to be a fine balance, you know, there must be that exchange. I give, I take. In as much as I give, I'm also receiving, you know. And for me, when I understood that, it was a game changer for me, because I started realizing that in fact, it got me to a point where I started analyzing my past relationships and saying that no, man.
Get the short change,
I almost went into a mental breakdown for something that was just so not worth it, you know. Like here, you like there was a thin line between sanity and insanity.
For any potential ladies out there, whether you're listening, you're in the south, the east, the west of Africa, in Asia, in Europe. If you are one of those personality traits, you know what you are looking for, and you're not willing to settle for less, this man is the man for you. 100%. Because he will not settle. I mean, you told me that you've got so many DMs. So, it was a stare.
Look, obviously they just taking chances, you know. But yeah, you know. So
you know your worth.
No, yeah, I do. And in as much as I'm very fair enough to even understand if I'm not what someone else is looking for, or if I'm not what someone else is looking for, you know. I let them go without. Look, I might feel bad about it for like a week or two, but you know, when I'll get to a point where I'll say, you know what? But in actual fact, that if I was in a relationship with that person, it would have been frustrating for both parties, you know. I would have been frustrated in terms of, you know, me not meeting her expectations, vice versa on her side. Now she's expecting me to do certain things in a certain type of way, and I'm not able to meet those expectations. So it's frustrating, you know. So yeah, you know.
So tell me, you as a child of God, I mean, we know that your values as a Christ believer, Christ follower. In terms of dating, do you think young men are supposed to be players? Test driving there and there. What is your views around, young men who are supposed to prepare for marriage? Do you think it's a good thing for a young man to be a ladies' man? Example, multiple dating, serial dating, and here you are today with a Lerato, tomorrow it's a Nomvul. Does that determine success, or do you think a successful man is a man of one woman?
For me personally, a successful man is a man of one woman, according to me. Let me say that, Yeah, because some people, I mean, they're in polygamous marriages and it's working out for them, or well, it looks like it's working out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for me personally, I feel like it's actually, that's the best possible way to go, because it teaches you an element of commitment.
Okay.
When
you need in business.
Which you need in business as well.
Which you need in your career.
100%. Stickability as well. The honest truth is that in life, certain things won't work out in the beginning. And when I say in the beginning, I mean like it won't be easy in the beginning, so you have to have that element of just sticking it out, but obviously discernment there plays a role, because you need to know when to walk away as well, But for me, I think it teaches that element of commitment, stickability, For me, I think those are the very, important things that you also need in business as well. Without commitment, you won't really get far. Commitment, I mean, it means so. For me personally, commitment, it means that you stick to something, whether there's good happening or whether there's bad happening. You're not in it for just the sunshine only, but on the rainy days, you're also there as well. So for me, that's what I strongly advise. Multiple dating different types of women.
Also wastes time.
It wastes time.
Money.
Yeah. So I was about to get to that.
Which you don't have. I mean, you can imagine if your salary, you taking care of yourself, you've got your own needs. Let's say you've got a car, you've got rent, and then here you are on top of one girlfriend. There's 2, 3 to maintain. Each one wants a date.
So that's so. It's good that you said that, because someone once mentioned that to me. He says, "My man, why?" And I said to them, guys, you guys are forgetting that I'll be the one paying for those dates. So it's all sweet and nice, but you guys are suggesting that, my man, go on different dates with different types of women, to see which one. I'm like, guys, don't forget that this is also a very costly exercise as well.
But your way of thinking, you see, you've hit it on the nail when you're saying, because you understand as a man.
Yeah.
You are paying.
Yes.
And that's something I've always tried to even explain to young men, and to say a man on a date is the one to pay for the date. A lady should not reach for her bag. But most guys, they think, because it's 50-50 again. Yeah. So if I'm gonna have 4 or 5 girlfriends, if half of them pay for the dinner, that's not it. But I like the fact that you are saying you've realized that you'll be the one paying.
Male ego as well. It plays self-respect. Also plays a role. So I'm talking from experience. I've been in relationships, whereby I'd expect a woman, a lady to pay, and I remember the respect, that respect that lady had for me just went down the drain.
Sure. And
I don't know. For me, I think I still have episodes where I think about the times when guys. I'm not saying be the biggest baller, but I think your male ego should allow you to do certain things, and certain things that you can afford. So for example, if I take you out on a date, it's going to be a restaurant that I know that I can afford very well,
But you are paying.
But I'm paying.
Yes.
Even though as the lady, I'm expecting you to use a little bit of sense and common sense
and
to say
order
stuff that you know that you wouldn't eat.
And
if you know that you wouldn't buy that for yourself, and you know that
don't try me.
And yes, and realistically speaking, we're living in tough economic times. If you see that I'm a guy who's still hustling, who's still driving a Polo, sisters, how go easy on me now. Don't kill me now.
At least be out on a date.
At least be out on a date, So so it's a very costly exercise. The time as well, it chows. You could be using that time to better your life and get somewhere in life, or spend that time getting to know someone who you choose to be committed to better, and try and understand how they think, their love language, how best, how to sort of like to be your best
version. What is your
of
love language? Now that you tell me.
Love language. For me, I think my love language, when I think about it, through it's actually,
for ladies out there listening, listen very well. What's
time, giving me your time, affection, obviously, and respect. Unconditional respect. Respect. I think it goes along with respect, your time, and obviously, that affection. For me, that's my love language. I'm not really much of a materialistic guy. I don't want you to buy me fancy clothes, whatever.
And then friends, what do you think as a guy? Because I know you guys are very strong with friendships, the hanging out, whether it's over soccer, over drinks. The Bible says that, the company that you keep, bad company corrupts character. So, for example, in your case, what have you learned about friendships over time, as Alti, as Muchita? Do you think you've already said it around mentorship? It's someone you must have values with, values with, same aspirations with, someone you can. What is your selection of friendships as a guy?
So I think with regards to friends, I've got friends that I'm close with. I let them into my life, right? Like I'll tell you about my life and what I do. And then I've got friends of which I like to hang out with at that specific time. But I can't go deep down with you, about life and so on and so on. We can share advice here and there, but, so because I've realized as well, your friends affect, or how can I put it? They not affect, they influence the way you think. They have an influence in terms of how you think, how you do stuff, So if you've got a group of friends who think it's okay to sleep around, birds of the same feather flock to.
I always say that they always flock, but they never fly. They can flock, but they are but instead of them doing the flying, they never do. Okay.
So I think. So I think I've realized that, And I think the best thing you can do for yourself, as a young guy, is that spend time with the friends who share the same values, and beliefs with you, friends who are going more or less in the same direction that you're going. Spend more time with them, and then spend less time with, the friends that, here we're just having a good time, and we're just chilling, and after that we go our separate ways, But I also feel as well that, friends play a different role in our lives. You might find that you've got, friends who, you guys share the same goals, you guys are hustling and what, but in actual fact, in terms of from an emotional and, social, I don't know how to explain it properly, but you might find that they're just not there, So, for example, I've got a group of friends who they're literally just they're my friends. We do life together. If I was to have a funeral at home, they'll show up with moral support. And chances are my business associate or friends who I do business with, they'll show up on the day of the funeral or here and there and give me. You understand what I'm saying? So I think you need to understand who's who, and then spend time mostly with the friends that matter the most. I'm not saying now. And by me saying spend more time, I mean in terms of who you allow to speak into your life mostly, share
because
stuff
also, some friends, they take away the dreams.
Yes, 100%.
They kill the dreams, they don't build. So prayer and the word of God for you, is it your daily?
Without fail, unapologetic, unashamed. No, it is. There's a friend of mine who actually said that to me, and this is not like a Christian friend or what. He said, hey, brah, out of all of my friends, hey, you're actually the most spiritual one. And I do it. And here's the thing for me, it's so personal that I don't think I actually have many friends or friends who actually are in line with me with regards to that. That's my personal thing. It's a lifestyle basically.
It's a lifestyle.
It forms part of who I am. It's basically, when I look at even the Bible, the Word of God, when you talk about the lens in which you view life, the philosophy, your philosophy, mine comes from there,
So would you say even in how you choose who you get into a relationship with the opposite sex, that is a number one? So if you saved. Can be all beautiful,
being saved,
all gadong, but if you are not saved, it's a no-go area.
I actually got away from something like that because, obviously sisters had some sort of perception of, born again Christian, and you hear when she says, kanti na unjalo brother nawe nan. So that's when you pick up and you're like, we're not in this.
The choice comes in to say walk away.
And then I check out your WhatsApp statuses, and I see with how in the scripture when I was posting, I want to be and faithful, and I'm asking, did you pray? Have you prayed? Nan. Even though maybe she does pray, I'm not saying, guys, hey, people who are not born again or saved, they don't pray, they pray, but I'm just saying that's for me, it goes a long way. It's basically the deal breaker. Because it's what I know. I come from a family that that prays, that believes in God, that takes God very seriously. So
now to bring someone who is not, it's like setting them up even for failure, not for you, but even for them. It's like you are frustrating that poor child's life. I'm Gugulethu Nkutha, and thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast conversation, be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share this podcast with your fellow kingdom leaders. And congratulations again on showing up for yourself in leading your own purpose on earth and those of others. We hope to grow with you. For more information on me, you can go on all my social media platforms on Gugulethu Nkutha, on Instagram, Facebook, and even on Twitter. On YouTube, you can also find us. You can tag me on your Instagram stories if this really hit a chord with you. Thank you for joining me and looking forward to talking to you on the next podcast.